My name is Chef Kabui, and today we are going to share a very close recipe to our heart and to our history. I'm going to be preparing a vegan recipe which will be shared at the bottom of the page, and you can be able to go step by step in the future. But for today, I'm going to start by introducing why we are going to be preparing this recipe with you today. Today we are working with a special group called the Boma Project that is doing some wonderful work in Kenya, helping women that are affected by climate change open up small businesses so that they can be able to take care of their life and take their children to school. Now, as I said, my name is Chef Kabui. I'm a Kenyan as well. I was born in Kenya and moved to the US about 30 years ago. I spent about 20 years of my life in Kenya. I come from the ethnic group called the Kikuyu, which comes from the central part of Kenya, and that is where I spent 20 years of my life. I stayed with my mother, where she was a coffee farmer. She was what is called, quote unquote, subsistence farmer. And my dad worked in the city, where he had a restaurant and a bar. And he would only come home mostly on the weekend and whenever he has some time off. That is where I learned most of the things I know about food. And some of these recipes that I'm sharing with you are inspired by my life in the village and among the Kikuyu. And the word Kikuyu is derived from a tree, a very medicinal tree called Mokoyo. I have to write the spelling of the Mokoyo and the botanical name for it, just in case you're interested. Now, full transparency. The kind of cuisine I prepare is called Afrofuturistic Conscious Cuisine. It's food geared towards doing little or no harm to the greatest extent possible. So it's food that's inspired by my African indigenous roots, but as well as my experience of living in the American South for the last 3 decades. So the tagline is always the South cuisine. I'm Southern by birth, and I'm Southern by choice of having lived in the American South. So my food is always fully transparent. Everything that we prepared here is organic. Some of the food and the flowers, I want to thank my kids for preparing the bouquet of flowers from the community garden that we have. And so I'll start by sharing the ingredients that we have in full transparency. And the main focus of this dish today, of this recipe, is millet, which is my grain of choice. And this is purple basil, just decorating the millet. But we'll talk about how you prepare the millet. So we just go ingredient by ingredient. The next ingredient is purple beets. They are shredded, not very fine, but just regular shred of the purple beets. The next thing we have here is acorn squash. So we just peel the acorn squash and we dice them according to the groove. So it's one ridge at a time, and then we just cast them really small. Not really small, but medium, as you can see. You'll be able to look at that a little bit later on. Then the next thing that we have here is mung beans. We soak these overnight. You can soak them up, actually you can sprout them for up to 2 days if you want to. But for the sake of the class, we did it rather fast. We cut a little bit of corner there because we only soak it for 24 hours. And we'll talk about the benefit of that as we move forward. Then, very popular, this is probably the first herb my mother prepared in the house. It's a cilantro. Cilantro is very common in my culture. And obviously, I don't think it's indigenous, but that's where it started. Then we have peas, pea shoots that have been sprouted. That's what you have. And then we have garlic, finely chopped garlic, minced garlic, mixed with fresh minced rosemary. We have red onion or purple onion, okay? And just a medium dice. We have an extra ingredient here, okay? It's all purple because we use the same grater that used the beets. But this is rutabaga. Rutabaga is optional. It's not in the recipe, but if you want to use it, that's optional. Then we have the other spices we are going to use. We have black pepper, organic black pepper, right? We have nutmeg, organic nutmeg. And we have organic sesame oil. You have roasted, will be great if you can get it. And then we have curry. We have cloves, which is an East African spice. Then we have coconut milk, you can make it fresh, and which is a class we want to have about how to make coconut milk. And this, you can't see this, but you see it as we pour it because it's the first thing we use in my style of cooking. And in here, in this magical pot, we probably have the magic ingredient. This is fresh tamarind beans. So we soak them in water and you massage them and you have a pasty liquid, you know, with a thin viscosity. But that's what we use. That's all we have. And that's all the ingredients that we have for you today. So the next step will be moving on to the next stage of actually preparing the food. Thank you very much.
Bye everyone. Like and subscribe.